Hi guys, welcome to Office Blokes React. I'm Office Bloke Dave.
I'm Office Bloke Mike.
Office Bloke Daz.
Collectively, we are the Office Blokes.
Yep, correct.
The 3 deadliest assassins of World War III. It's not happened yet, so no one can disprove it or disagree.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
just putting it out there.
it's just plausible.
Yeah,
Yeah.
suppose so.
I never got that.
Step in, sort the situation out.
Yeah.
You know, back home for dinner by tea time.
Yep.
What we're going to do to get in the Christmas spirit, since it is the festive period, is do the deadliest weapons of World War III.
With tinsel on.
Let's take a break on Christmas Day, surely, right?
You'd like to think so.
Yeah. I mean, we did that crazy railgun, didn't we, that the States were building, which apparently is on hold now. God knows what else there is, sort of future weapons-wise.
I'm sure there's stuff that we don't even know about that are developing, I would
Deadliest.
guess. But, yeah.
I learned more about weapons
Nuclear
from playing.
and hypersonic.
I learned most of it from playing Call of Duty.
Yeah.
That makes you an expert in all these things. Anyway, let's get into it. This is
Mike's a weapon.
not very deadly though. Deadliest weapons of World War III. Let's do it.
The date is November 2nd, 2021. The world economy has at last begun to recover from the coronavirus outbreak. But as nations begin to open up again, one country is determined to reshape the new world order in its own image. For 3 weeks, China has been building its forces for a cross-strait invasion into Taiwan. Given its still limited mobility fleet and extreme currents of the Strait of Taiwan, China has a very narrow window to secure a beachhead only twice a year, and the Chinese Communist Party is no longer willing to wait for peaceful reunification. In response to the military buildup, the United States has responded in kind, moving a sizable portion of its Atlantic fleet to the Pacific and Indian Oceans. Bases in Hawaii, Australia, Alaska, and Japan all bustle with activity, as thousands of aircraft are shuttled to airfields closer to the potential conflict zone. Guam, linchpin of the U.S. operations in South Pacific, is on full alert. At 0124 hours, China launches the first salvo of World War III. Overhead,
It's one of those videos where we're going to be anxious and panicking by the end of it.
What was the date? 2022?
He said the end of 2021, didn't he?
Right.
It's obviously
I've not heard anything about that China-Taiwan thing for a while.
No. It's always bubbling under, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think, it's always something going on. But
would that spark World War III?
Probably not.
Is Taiwan an ally of anyone in particular, or,
sure
or a member of
We've
anything?
probably got bases there.
Right.
The Allied forces have probably got bases there. Someone has probably, I'm thinking.
yeah.
So
Or
it
they're
would
trained.
it would be a declaration of war on the West, potentially, to invade Taiwan.
Well, I think it's a case of, like, it's not theirs. You can't just fucking do what you want, can you? A bit like the Ukraine-Russia thing. You can't just...
Yeah, I mean,
Go for
Taiwan would sort of like just defend themselves, I suppose.
Yeah.
I still think the US would probably try and keep out of it. There'd be a lot of
Yeah.
rhetoric going on and everything, but
No one wants World War III, though, do they?
I don't know. Putin might.
Maybe, yeah.
King Jong-un and whatever his name is. Him with the daft haircut from North Korea.
yeah.
What's he going to do? Fire a potato cannon at someone and get blown up?
Well, the same as what Russia's doing, isn't it?
True, yeah.
American spy satellites pick up the unmistakable thermal plumes of hundreds of ballistic missiles lifting off launch vehicles and silos all across eastern China. Much of these missiles smash into neighboring Taiwan, but a number of them reach space and then readjust their trajectories. Guided by Chinese satellites and ground control stations, Chinese DF-26 ballistic missiles, otherwise known as Guam killers, perform course correction burns before re-entering the atmosphere, packing a warhead loaded with over 3,000 pounds of explosives. Each missile is a deadly threat to a target on the ground. American Aegis cruisers immediately launch volleys of ballistic missile interceptors, seeking to destroy the Chinese missiles while still outside the atmosphere. American THAAD, or Terminal High Altitude Area Defense Units stationed in both South Korea and Guam, send their own volleys of interceptors. But the DF-26 missiles carry countermeasures and scatter radar-confusing chaff and decoys as they cruise just outside of the atmosphere and prepare to enter their terminal phase. American interceptors destroy many missiles, but many more slip past the first layer of defense. Now entering the atmosphere, Patriot missile defense batteries stationed on Guam fire interceptors in droves. More missiles are killed, but just half a minute later, over a dozen DF-26 missiles prepare for impact. 4 of the missiles split open, showering American runways with runway cratering munitions. The rest smash into important fuel and munition storage facilities or strike at barracks and plane hangars. The DF-26 missiles aren't exactly precise. They have a target radius of just under 100 meters, but with over 3,000 pounds of explosives, they don't need to be. In seconds, Guam is a smoking ruin. and a significant portion of U.S. Pacific military might has just been neutralized. Out at sea, however, the DF-26 targeting American carrier strike groups don't fare as well. If China's going to have any chance of winning the war, the American carriers need to be destroyed and have been secondary in priority only to Guam. The American carriers have been sailing at full steam, though, and performing erratic maneuvers. The two powerful nuclear reactors aboard the Nimitz carriers pushed the massive ships to top speeds that have to this day remained classified, easily outrunning their escorts, but for their erratic maneuvers meant to throw off the D-26's targeting. The strike group's defenses open up on the big missiles, with its accompanying cruisers firing off volley after volley of interceptors. Most of the DF-26s are downed, but a near miss cripples the Ronald Reagan and forces it to return to the American West Coast for extensive repairs. A direct hit on the bow of the Abraham Lincoln devastates the massive carrier. Within 2 hours, the giant ship and its accompanying 80 combat aircraft and thousands of sailors are all lying at the bottom of the sea. The U.S. has...
There must be a contingency where, in this event, all aircraft just take off from the aircraft carrier.
Yeah, I'm thinking this is just defence at the moment. They're only talking about defence. I'm thinking when the attack starts, the attack will probably come straight at the same time.
Yeah.
As soon as they start launching shit, then the attack goes on them as well. So they'll be getting the same shit happening to them, so they'll be defending themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
War's not just about defence, it's about attack as well.
Oh,
isn't it?
yeah, absolutely, yeah. But if they've had time to mobilise these anti-missile missiles, or whatever they were called, you'd think like all the fighter jets are in the air, all the helicopters are in the air off the carrier in case it gets hit.
Yeah.
And then they go on offensive manoeuvres and they start blowing stuff up.
Yeah. Because you have to start damaging their equipment as well, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
It'd be a matter of hours, wouldn't it, until it's absolute carnage all over the place.
You might not even fucking know about it. You know what might happen is you might just wake up or never wake up again. You know, it might all just get smoked with nuclear, you know, whatever. But you might go to bed at night, say 9-10 o'clock at night, and then wake up at 8 o'clock in the morning. It's all over. You know, it's fucking everyone in China's fucking immobilized.
Yeah. If
Putin's gone, Xi's gone.
If the West win, that is. Should do. But
stay positive, man.
No, I agree. I'm just sort of being devil's advocate a little bit there, but we would. I am positive.
Yeah. I'll have me like tiny Johnny Rambo tie around my head. Arm up. I'll be out.
Arm up with a big stick.
Straight down to like Wow Chow, fucking Panda, whatever it's called, that Chinese restaurant.
Give me all your food.
There's war.
Wow. Oh dear.
Combat aircraft and thousands of sailors are all lying at the bottom of the sea. The U.S. has just suffered more casualties in the first 3 hours of World War III than in 20 years of fighting in Iraq and Afghanistan. Now, it's America's turn to strike back. Chinese missile strikes have devastated American and allied nation bases across the Pacific, from Guam to Japan, and as far south as Australia. America's first counterattack doesn't come from a kinetic weapon, but from an electronic one. Malicious code lurking in Chinese computer systems for years comes to life with a single keystroke. And suddenly, Chinese communications and intelligence networks are brought to a screeching halt. China is shocked at the electronic devastation of the attack, and at the lackluster performance of what it had hoped would be a digital Pearl Harbor against the US. Chinese government hackers are only just now discovering that the computer systems they've been painstakingly penetrating over the course of years have largely been simulated. Anticipating a massive cyber attack in the case of war, the US has spoofed many of its own critical military computer networks and allowed foreign powers to believe their software was penetrating real networks being used by real people. These fake networks are so detailed that they even simulate individual workers' browsing history. Chinese hackers can watch as personnel waste time on YouTube and playing their favorite flash games, yet it's all fake, simulated by AI. But the electronic attack is quickly followed by a very real kinetic attack. On the long-range radar, Chinese air defense installations watch American B-2 bombers on approach. The stealthy planes can't evade radar completely, and intermittent contacts betray their presence while still hundreds of miles from the Chinese coast. However, knowing the stealth bombers are somewhere out there and getting a target lock is a totally different thing, and high-frequency targeting radars can't resolve a good lock on the incredibly stealthy bombers. Featuring upgraded stealth composites and an exhaust system that cools the hot air of the twin turbojets powering the big bombers, the B-2s penetrate even deeper toward Chinese territory. Fighter jets are scrambled to intercept the attack craft, But while still hundreds of miles away, the B-2s let loose with their payloads. Each B-2 briefly flashes brightly on the radar as its cargo bay doors are opened and then quickly closed, restoring its stealth characteristics. Then, the big planes turn around and head for surviving friendly airfields. From the belly of
Hundreds of miles away when they do that.
Yeah.
It's mind-boggling,
Incredible,
isn't
And
it?
how quick they fucking drop them bombs as well to get the door shut again.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then
Get them
turn
offloaded,
around,
turn around.
go and refuel, rearm somewhere
And then
else.
come do
Yeah.
it.
It's just
Repeat.
mind-boggling, isn't it? Wow.
Then, the big planes turn around and head for surviving friendly airfields. From the belly of each plane, half a dozen large missiles fall toward the Pacific Ocean. Rocket engines come to life as the missiles fall to just a few hundred feet off the waves, and each missile levels off at just over 50 feet over the breaking waves. The missiles feature stealthy characteristics, making them very difficult to track and target with interceptors, and terrain-following radar allows them to skim just above the waves so as to remain under the horizon of Chinese radar. As the missiles accelerate to twice the speed of sound, the rocket engines suddenly cut off and are jettisoned, and the missile's main mode of propulsion, a scramjet, flares to life. The scramjet has no moving parts and works by compressing incoming air from the nose of the missile and injecting fuel into the superheated air, which instantly ignites. However, each missile has to be helped along to supersonic speed before the scramjets can engage. But once they do, the missiles punch forward until they're moving at thousands of miles an hour. The missiles arrive at their targets across the Chinese coast. They roar over population centers to reach military buildup zones, air bases, and command and control nodes. Upon reaching their targets, the missiles suddenly plunge to the ground, causing only minor destruction on impact. However, for miles around each missile's final descent, all electronics have been permanently disabled. The US has just crippled thousands of Chinese vehicles, command and control nodes, ships, aircraft, and computers with electromagnetic pulse weapons. Not a single Chinese soldier has died in the attack, but immeasurable damage has been done to Chinese logistics and military infrastructure.
Incredible.
A few days later, the surface war to push the US out of the Pacific has finally began in earnest. Chinese Type 055 and 052 destroyers are punching well above their weight class against American ships. The Chinese destroyers are newer than their American counterparts, many of which have begun to show their age. The Type 55 and 52s are fast, precise, and lethal with their arsenal of anti-ship cruise missiles and inflict heavy losses on American ships. They're supported by a range of bases built across the South China Sea, each one of which is home to dozens of missile batteries, combat aircraft, and long-range surveillance radar. Despite its carrier strike groups largely intact, the US can't penetrate the outer ring of Chinese Pacific defenses without a dedicated concentration of firepower. Until the South China Sea artificial reef bases are neutralized, it'll be weeks before the US Navy can bring the fight to China's shores. In the meantime, speedy and agile Chinese destroyers seek out US and allied ships that stray too close, supported by aircraft flying out of the reclaimed island bases China has spent 2 decades building, while the world just watched. Under the waves, however, the United States has let loose its fleet of terrifying underwater predators. American attack submarines have been more prepared for this fight than the rest of the US Navy, pre-positioned along critical waterways for months at a time thanks to their nuclear reactors, which provide them with unlimited endurance. It's only the crew's need to eat that limits the sub's endurance, but a whole fleet of fast resupply vessels keeps America's silent service well supplied at war, and the deadly subs back on target.
I didn't know they could resupply subs while they're underwater. It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But I just never considered it.
Yeah.
No, I didn't. I assumed that they'd have to surface. Maybe this is just for
No, I think they
This
don't, I don't
purposeful-
think they surface. I think they go down. I think it's submerged for
Months
Months
on
on
end.
end,
yeah. Oh, definitely can be. Yeah, but yeah, like you say, I didn't realise it could actually restock.
It wouldn't
guy with
sort
like
of
a
window,
guy with like a deep sea diving suit with like a Deliveroo bag at the door. Fucking
yeah, still got half your order wrong.
I came to the wrong submarine.
His silent service well supplied at war, and the deadly subs back on target. American Virginia and Los Angeles class submarines have begun hunting Chinese subs since the war began. By far, their most difficult prey is the stealthy Type 39A, a submarine so advanced it caught US intelligence completely by surprise. The advantage, however, remains firmly on the US side, as China's anti-submarine warfare capabilities continue to lag significantly behind the US. Lacking air and surface assets to hunt down American subs, the quiet nuclear-powered subs methodically search for the Chinese diesel-electric subs. After losing 3 subs to the American fleet, the Chinese have ordered their own subs close to support bases. The Chinese subs' main mission, after all, is to attack American surface ships, and they're still being kept at bay by the massive People's Liberation Army rocket force. However, this leaves the U.S. Silent Service free to hunt across the South Pacific, and dozens of Chinese ships are either sunk or crippled in attacks. Some American subs are lost, but the Virginia-class subs prove even more difficult to locate and sink than Los Angeles-class. Featuring a new generation of noise-canceling rubber tiles and equipment built with tolerances tighter than even spacecraft, the Virginia-class submarines are deadly predators and send many People's Liberation Army Navy ships to the bottom of the ocean. The war, however, remains at an impasse at the moment. Until China's South China Sea bases can be neutralized, the U.S. can't bring its own considerable naval and air power to bear, let alone begin the reconquest and liberation of Taiwan. What has become extremely clear to both sides, however, is that the most important weapons of what will become World War III are for the first time in history exclusively weapons that operate in the cyber, space, and naval warfighting realms. Now, go check out US versus China 2020 military comparison.
Yeah,
That's so interesting.
Isn't it?
I think the thing about cyber warfare, I think it's a huge thing because these days everything works with communication, radar, electronics, intelligence. You know, without that, you're absolutely screwed, aren't you? You really are.
That's why they banned Huawei in America, though, isn't it? Because it's perceived to have a backdoor into the American infrastructure.
That's right, yeah.
Well, the government owned, aren't they? State-owned Huawei.
Yeah.
I think everyone has to be state-owned.
A percentage, isn't it?
Percentage, yeah.
It's crackers, that, though.
Yeah, whether it maps out that way, I don't know. But
well, it'd be impossible to tell, wouldn't it? Who else would get involved? Because it could be kick off everywhere, couldn't it?
Them electromagnetic weapons. That just fucking blew my mind. That.
Yeah.
So I was expecting a massive explosion.
Yeah.
But it's just like electronic thing. Yeah, absolutely incredible. I've never seen anything like that before.
I suppose you'd want them to cause minimal damage because you may have to fire them into population centres.
Yeah.
You know, you may have to fire it into a major city, and you don't want the collateral damage of killing loads of civilians. But you just want to shut everything down.
That's if you're taking all electronics down, stuff like that. I mean, that is the way to win it, isn't it? You know, if you can't communicate with your armed services, then you know, with the submarines, with boats, with plane, you know, you're screwed, aren't you?
I wonder, like, obviously the other people that get involved, America being a member of NATO, then you've got NATO on the other side, but also, you know, would Russia be involved?
Iran. Yeah, it'd be all the.
But the general Chinese population, though, would anyone revolt because it's kicking off in China a lot at the moment? There's big riots and stuff.
Oh, there is.
Yeah.
What over?
Well, I think that's over
It's
COVID restrictions,
lockdown,
isn't it?
yeah.
So it's slightly different, that, isn't it?
They built these almost like internment camps, and they've got a. And I'm not verifying this as someone, I've never been to China, I don't know, but they've got an app on your phone allegedly that is either green, amber, or red, and you've got to go and do a COVID test, and that makes your app go green, which means you can function in society. But if it's on amber, I think you're untested, and if it's on red, you're positive. And they're kicking in people's doors and taking the people's whose apps are on red and putting them in like internment camps.
Really?
Yeah, like these isolation. It's supposedly worse than it's ever been.
Oh, I thought they were eased up on it at the moment.
So some of the footage,
I thought I heard that as well.
I guess unverified footage, but some of the stuff coming out of there is that they're really this zero COVID policy they've got. They're really like cracking down on. But apparently, the people that are protesting against it, all of their apps just instantly go to red, which means they're not allowed to be on the streets. They've got to be locked down. So you're breaking the law by being on the street. If it's true, all the stuff that's coming out, it's very scary.
Goes to show what's behind the window there, though, with everything that goes on with with the stuff that we don't know about, we'll never know about.
Yeah,
that's
of course
that these countries possess.
Yeah,
like they're talking about mirroring software, networks and all that kind of stuff, computer networks. But
I think we assumed that was very much like America have got this crazy technology, and China, this is what we know they've got. But I'm sure China have got loads of stuff that we don't know they've got.
Absolutely.
So.
Of course, all countries will, especially US and China, and the biggest militaries in the world, aren't they? So they all have things that no one will know about until the time's needed. element of surprise, isn't
Yeah,
it?
hopefully we don't see it. We're not commenting on it. I'm not commentating on it. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's,
Us reacting to the war.
shit went over the top.
From a bunker somewhere in
Yeah.
in Blackpool.
This might be a bunker in Blackpool. People don't know that.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, no one will go to Blackpool. Even the Rockets will turn around and go, fuck that.
Yeah.
Shite there.
It's already been done.
Yeah, sorry.
It's already been hit.
Anyway, hope you enjoyed that. Don't forget, like and subscribe. Catch you on the next one.
Cheers, guys.